really too much for me to bear, because my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness, and in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body, no bickering between you and me, for our policy stands for racial equality. Now when a stranger spending a little time in this lovely isle, every day you see him, he always have a hearty smile. When his time is up to depart, he would say with pride in heart, I'll be back, you could bet your life. And if I can't come, I will send my wife. And then he'll tell you he really wants her to come, to drink some rum and have plenty fun in this great island in the sun. For Trinidadian, as foreigners do recall, it doesn't matter whether big or small, or if you're my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness, and in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body, no bickering between you and me, for our policy stands for racial equality. Now when a stranger spending a little time in this lovely isle, every day you see him, he always have a hearty smile. When his time is up to depart, he would say with pride in heart, I'll be back, you could bet your life. And if I can't come, I will send my wife. And then he'll tell you he really wants her to come, to drink some rum and have plenty fun in this great island in the sun. For Trinidadian, as foreigners do recall, it doesn't matter whether big or small, or if you're rich or poor, friends, we cater for one and all. So all of them were talking. They either drunk or they staring mad. Or maybe they forgetting Mr. Universe belongs to Trinidad. And yet we have men of talent and skill, with high hopes of improving still. And if you think all this is a lie, the mighty sniper won't tell you why. Now our steel bands is the best talent in this world. By calypsos our stories are told, which is written to touch your soul. So Trinidad, this lovely land of my book, small but overwhelming in work. And as you know, Carnival is the greatest frolic on earth.
Ah, yes, indeed. Pleasant good night to all and sundry. I trust that, of course, you would have had a wonderful, let's say, Friday night. I did. And of course, I am very enthused and very, of course, should I say, in a state of vivaciousness, yes, and re-energized, of course, to do what is required at this point in time. And that is, of course, to address the should I say, burdensome and the very contemporary issues of Trinidad and Tobago today, something that we all have a duty and responsibility, of course, to share in that responsibility to address and to ameliorate and to resolve. And it is in that context, again, we are here tonight to, of course, stake our claim and to say emphatically that we will not rest, we will not tire. We will, of course, see this thing throughout, of course, this 2024 and into, of course, 2025, when that glorious period would have arrived, when, of course, we can make a decision in our own best interest, being armed with all of the information that is required in a democracy. A democracy is about transparency, it is about communication, it is about information, timely and real-time information, in order to make a decision in the best interest of all. It is not for those who would have been given the privilege by virtue of an electoral process and then claim that they are government for a certain section of the population and themselves, who would be in the vast minority. No, it is government by the people, of the people, and for the people, and therefore it suggests, it connotates, it insinuates, it says in non-certain terms, the conclusive corollary that the government is there to serve the people, full stop. Has nothing to do with no clique, no small group of individuals, and no one who believes that somehow they can, of course, engage in an elitist agenda and they believe they can succeed and conclude as well and suggest and try to hoodwink the rest of us into believing that that is, of course, democracy. And I want to tell you this. Before we start. I've not formally, of course, given my salutations tonight. But I want to say this, that there is the notion that is being spewed by the PNM and Dr. Rowley, that stability resides in a party like that, because, of course, it recognizes the optimum leader. The leader could do no wrong, or the leadership could do no wrong, or who the leader decides could do no wrong, can do no wrong. The leader himself cannot do any wrong, as they try, of course, to undermine and emasculate and at the same time influence major institutions to bring them to book. I want to tell you that that is not the ethos, that is not the essence of stability. No, Rowley and they are mixing up dictatorial tendencies and autocracy with, of course, democracy. Democracy, it is about freedom to speak. It is about freedom to, of course, decide. It is about freedom to move. It is about freedom to participate in the national as well as regional or any other issue that the citizens would like to participate in without being influenced or being fettered, except, of course, where free flow of information will provide individuals with information to make a decision one way or another. But when it is mired and, of course, saturated with propaganda, old talk, and, of course, the air of authority for which no one contemplated and which, of course, they have arrogated unto themselves, that is not stability, no. So when another party, for example, is exercising its democratic right, and the people may be, of course, talking frankly and criticizing their leader, they don't see that. They see that as chaos. No, that is the essence of democracy. What we know is dictatorship is when, of course, people are convinced and they are annoyed and they are disenchanted inside of the PNM, and you can't say anything. Anytime you say anything, as we have seen, you get, of course, the leadership boots and you are kicked out of the organization because you are supposed, of course, to see wrong and say nothing. You are supposed to see evil and say nothing. You are supposed to engage in evil yourself, and the leadership will cover up and make it look as though it's the best thing since sliced bread. So I thought it was important, of course, to start there. But let's go straight, of course, to my salutations. A pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or President Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. President, good day to you. Yes, this is the Saturday edition of the Corridor Transformation. You might see me looking a little darker tonight, but we got cameras that we have to, of course, adjust because of the concern with respect, of course, to the blur that will come from time to time when the program is in session, and the technical people they said that they will want to test it first before, of course, they make adjustments to the camera. So I may be looking a little darker. But of course, what I'm hoping is that blurriness, I prefer that blur that we were getting. I think it is disturbing. I think, of course, it's annoying, and therefore I prefer this than you being, of course, disturbed and frustrated by, of course, not being able to enjoy your favorite nightly program, except, of course, on Fridays. That being as it may, I promise that I will go back, of course, and continue with the whole question of the East-West Corridor, but focusing on Laventille and so on, because it is my specialty. It's my specialty, and I make no bones about it. But at the same time, I know that we did not finish the issue with, of course, Basdeo Panday. So maybe we can quickly, of course, treat with that. You probably can treat with that, and then, of course, we will then, of course, go back to the Laventille question. Let me just put something up. Yes, indeed. There we have it. But let's go to the lines immediately. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Good night to you. All right. Thank you.
hungry of wonderful times to come.
Very philosophical, very, very philosophical. Yes, very deep, yes, yes. I appreciate that, yes, yes.
Yeah, and that's what the government is doing. They promise us. They have not even filled their bellies yet and their pockets. But come end of this year, when election time is coming around, they will promise us all the great things that are to come. Because they're already fucking their bank accounts. They've depleted the money in the country. They've ruined lives in the school system. They've destroyed futures for children. Knocked up a whole generation. You haven't been fucking yet. You have to wait for another year to get fucking. Because God knows where their money is heading. And they will promise us of the great times to come when they take over the next election and they will become in office again. And the people will be satiated and happy. Because that's how it moves, Lennox. And I don't think it will end up. I think we need a revolution and all this stuff. But I'm okay. We're gonna keep it, you know, and we're gonna keep it lively. And I'm gonna let you talk more because I do believe that we are not ready yet because the revolution hasn't truly started. It will take maybe a whole year for us to get down there and get rid of it. Because they haven't gotten their
bellies yet. They're still eating. They're still haven't satiated themselves. So that's it, you know. All right, thank you. I'll call later on. The other people
Yeah.
call. All right,
All
bye.
right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I want to say, for those of you who may not have heard the entirety of the conversation, it was about revolution. You know, revolutions come in various forms. You can have a violent one. You can have, of course, a peaceful one. You can have, of course, one that is nestled in apparent complacency, but insistence. You can have advocacy and so on. Well, I want to say, I am for all of them, including, of course, what we are doing tonight is a revolution in itself, because nowhere else has there been a focus of a recognition of the misdeeds of a particular administration and the ferventness and the commitment almost every night to, of course, address that matter. Because it has as a consequence, what is the objective of this nightly engagement? Very simple. Mobilization. And mobilization, of course, refers to intellectual, cognitive education for action. That's what it is all about, for action. And what is the ultimate action? When the elections are called, we must go to the polls confident, armed with the information. And as a consequence, we can treat with it as we see fit, because we have been edified to what should not be and what should be. And the experiences over the 8 or 9 years or 10 years, if it goes to next year, we will be able, of course, to give justice and due consideration to what has to be the reality of Trinidad and Tobago moving forward in terms of its development. That is what it's all about. That is what this is all about. So you can call this a revolution as well. There are some who see revolution as violence. There is not necessarily. No, don't have to be, in order, of course, to effect the change that we want. We have seen it, of course, by itself in 2009 and 2016, yes. We have seen it, of course, 2018, that is, yes, 2018. What happened to me? 1986, we have seen it there in 1986. We have seen it in 1995. We have seen it in 2000. And we have seen it, of course, in 2010. And we will see it again in 2025. And we saw it in between in terms of sub impact towards the ultimate revolution in Tobago, with, of course, the 14-1 defeat of the PNM in Tobago, and it therefore has connotations for Trinidad as well. So we know that we are on the right path, and as I always say, evil could never conquer good. Pleasant good night to all and sundry. Once again, East, West, North, South, Central, or Friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the corridor transformation. And I thought I should conclude, of course, the Panday saga, which, of course, was momentarily interrupted with, of course, the discussion on the East-West corridor, and, of course, the various nuances, the various variables that must be considered, and whether or not the transformation will effectively be, let's say, inculcated or accepted. But it does not mean we mustn't try. It must not mean we mustn't try. We could probably fight and run away, only to live another day and to return to the battle. Well, last night was one of those nights. I took a sabbatal, so to speak, and I'm back tonight, raring to go and eager, of course, to treat with all of the issues. But let's go straight, of course, to the issue of Basdeo Panday. Let's conclude that. And then, of course, we will go back to the East-West corridor and some of the issues that was vehemently either defended, promoted, or indeed disregarded. And all of that is part and parcel of the democratic process. I may disagree with you, you may disagree with me, but I want you to respect my right to talk as I respect your right to talk and give your opinion. There must not be any rancor. There mustn't be any, of course, animosity. But, of course, in the spirit of wanting to get the best, we must engage like this so that the critical issues are ventilated and critical decisions must now be made and positions taken in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, in this melting pot and this multicultural environment in which we find ourselves, social, economic, and otherwise. That being as it may, let's go straight, of course, to Panday. I would merely, of course, to say that that is a procession that was leading to, of course, the shore of peace, where, coming from, of course, SAPA, the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts. I'm going to be as brief as possible tonight on this matter, because I'm ready to go back to the Lavantil and, of course, the East-West corridor. And so I'm going to just skip some of it from time to time, so that you'll have an appreciation. All right, so here we are. Of course, the mourners, including, of course, the sisters and the family gathering at SAPA to look, to welcome, of course, the guests and others who would have been, of course, equally in pain as a result of the passing of Basdeo Panday. So that is the family there gathering, huddling among themselves, and of course, and wishing themselves, should I say, wishing themselves the prospects of getting over this phase of their lives, because I know that it has been traumatic. So I'm not going to delay or further, of course, contribute to any memories that may be bitter or very emotional. So let's go quickly. And of course, these are some of the pictures coming out of that exercise outside of Napa. Of course, the coffin is being, of course, hoisted on a mobile contraptment in order, of course, to take slowly through the streets of San Fernando, on the outskirts, of course, to the shore of peace. So you have, of course, a guard of honor there. I'm going to move as quickly as possible. Yes, but in the meantime, of course, I'll take your call as well. Let's go straight to that. Let's go straight to that call. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Yes.
Good night, Lennox. I have to call back again. You know
No
why?
problem.
Okay, like he's dead now, okay?
Yeah.
And he's not gonna come back. He's like Jesus coming back to the second call.
Yeah.
Unless his daughter is resurrected and starts a new party, and I don't know what she's going to do. But
Yes.
the fact is that this country is screwed right now. And I said what I earlier I made a comment about people who are politicians getting fat and they're telling us that good days are coming and it's not coming. And you were talking about a revolution. It doesn't have to be violent. Any revolution, people have to die. Any revolution. And what I'm saying to you is this, that you look at the state of the nation today. When I say state of the nation, I'm talking from Port of Spain all the way down to south, all the way down from the east, all the way to the west. We're looking at the whole island, corner to corner, which is only, how far is it from south, from north to south? It's what, a 55 mile? I forget how many miles it is. It's not really far. It's tiny
It's not
island.
very far. I agree with you.
Yeah?
One thing we know for sure, it's not very far. That one we know for sure. But go ahead. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that this island is so tiny and we can't and we have so much resources that are so rich and we have all this access. We have border, we have a dock, we are surrounded by water so we could ship, we could receive, we're not landlocked. We have the best soil. And look what's happening in the state of our nation today with the schools, the education system, the children who are going to school, parents who are raising animals. I talked yesterday about maybe parents should be, women should be sterilized and men should have vasectomies because we are producing crap. We're not producing citizens. We're not procreating well. We're just reproducing like freaking rats. And that's how I see it. And the schools look like a dog pen. And I'm sick of people lighting fire and begging for access. Parents lighting fire, putting protest, begging for access to freaking education. Come on, man, Lennox. People, people in America, they always tell the story about Abraham Lincoln. He was the only student in a school. He had to walk 5 or 6 miles in the snow to get to school. He was the only person, and he rose to become the president. And with the Emancipation Proclamation, although that was forced on him, and he got assassinated. And look at us. Look where we're living and look where we are today. And we're having children fight in school, beating children till they're almost ready to die. A bunch of rats. We are breeding rats across the whole freaking country. Indians, Afro, all of them. And the only people who really making it is the 1%, because you'll never see their children going to public schools. That's my comment, Lana. Let me hear you say something that is more encouraging to win me over, because the country is screwed right now. Thank you.
Well, it's not a matter of winning over. It's a matter of facing reality. I have to face that as a reality. I happen to agree implicitly because those are the facts. But of course, we have one element that could be considered to be central to the entire thing. The common denominator is poor leadership at the highest level, and therefore our business is not being taken care of as it ought to. And so what you need are people, even though he has passed away, people like Panday, for example, right? But of course, living, we have people because of the party that he would have left. So we have Kamala Prasad Misesa, we have, of course, the UNC is still around. And clearly it is the alternative. And it is, of course, the amelioratory factor. And, of course, and has been demonstrated so to be. And you are quite right. It was the present Prime Minister who told the public that when he saw young girls fighting, he told all of us that they are like hyenas in the African jungle. They're like hyenas in the African jungle. And the same Prime Minister having categorized our young girls like that, he went up, of course, to Sangre Grande and said that he ain't no monkey. and that they give him banana to eat, and he detests that. That prime minister said that. So on the one hand, he categorized the schoolgirls in this country as hyenas in the African jungle, castigating. To me, when you say that and you use African jungle, you are saying that that is a bad thing. Yet still, when a very innocuous basket of groceries, among the items in that basket was a hand of bananas, he then turned that banana into, of course, the worst thing, that you mustn't eat it. But I want to show you the hypocrisy. You see, it is important that we identify and never change. We must be immutable. We must be constant as the Northern Star. We must be in our conviction on, because it is right and it is proper, and that we have, of course, examined in totality and with all of the various nuances and, of course, the various, what I consider to be theories as well as the hypotheses. We can say clearly that Rowley and his government was never prepared or will never be prepared to lead Trinidad and Tobago out of the mess and quagmire that has found itself. The same man on the question of that banana, the same man who said that he had a monkey when he had cause now to be further embarrass himself and his government and the country, when during the course of the COVID-19, and he saw that his efforts, all of his efforts were waning, were an exercise in futility, even though he got $22 billion to adjust the problem, and even though he was boasting of his own self-aggrandizement, that they were number one in the world in terms of the response, all of that. And then he told us, if you have 2 bananas, share it with a friend. And then in the process, introduce a state of emergency. Understand what is happening here? So one thing is central here is this government and this prime minister and, of course, his minions. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night to you, Lennox. I thought I'd call early because you're starting off well. We're hearing you good. It's not cutting up as much as before. But
Right.
Lennox, you have to do something about that boy. People were frustrated Thursday night. They kept calling me, what it is going on, what it is going on, you know. Anyway, Lennox, good night to you.
Yes.
And to everybody on the chat. Lennox, let me pick up where you left off. Well, not where you left off, but something you just said.
Yes.
Yes, he did call them hyenas in the African jungle. And you know now, when we refer to it, when I say we, across the board, we racial. We racial for saying something so.
Yeah.
And this time it was Keith Rowley who said it.
Yeah.
He talked about bananas. He said, UNC feel that we are monkeys. And they gave us bananas. He didn't see the rest of the fruits in the bags.
No,
he didn't.
Other items. Didn't see that. Yes.
Yeah, it's situational ethics, Lennox.
Yes.
He didn't say that. But then he turned around and he tell people, if you have 2 bananas, eat one, save one, and give one to your friend. I tell you, the math's not mathsing.
Same banana,
it's not mathsing.
The same fruit is castigated.
Same banana.
The man is not just bipolar, the man totally mad. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
That what I tell you, Lennox is a madman running the country. Lennox, but I heard somebody say sometime last week, I can't remember, also that Rowley not racial, Rowley is just wicked. Rowley racial.
And wicked is both.
Yes. Because you remember the roti war? When he come flinging a piece of paper and saying what money, thousands of dollars to spend in roti.
Yes, I remember that.
How we don't buy no roti for the? How we don't buy no roti for them now?
and somebody didn't put water in the Prime Minister's residence swimming pool because
Kamla never paying people money
clogged a pipe.
paying money to bring in water.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, paying money to bring in water when they just have to go outside and stop coke. That deceitful man.
That's right. That is how evil this man is. So he's both evil, ugly, and wicked and incompetent. Go ahead.
That man is the Lord.
Talk a little softer. Talk a little softer.
And he starts spreading it.
Yes.
And you see, he said, tell a lie, Lennox. All the water in the River Jordan can wash.
Yeah, you're sure right. You're sure right.
Yeah, Lennox. But what I was trying to say tonight is that, well, Thursday I buried my niece. And at the funeral service, the priest, excuse me, the priest was talking about the murder rate. It was already 19 in 12 days.
Yes.
I could just imagine how much it is now 2 days later.
Yes.
But you know, gets me? Why do you all speak about it behind closed doors? When Kamla Prasad was in office, you all were preaching it from the pulpit. Archbishop Harris said that he have proof of how many people migrating because of the crime situation.
Yes.
And the crime situation was not as bad as we have it now. Archbishop Berkeley telling people to hold on and resurrect in 15. He went on to spew all rowdy lies about who getting land and who ain't getting land and nepotism companies. Where are they now, Lennox? Where are now our country in ruin?
Oh yes, it is
blood
absolutely ruined.
Yeah, and not a word from these people. But you know what is ironical? All over Facebook was what Pennywise was going to do to the workers and them not pay them for. Right? But not a word about the crime situation. Yes. Not a word about property tax. But I wonder if it's because they are cyber for the voters. That's why that was done. I heard people saying that they have big pictures of cyber. What that have to do with anything? And Rowley worshiping the Electoral Zombie? And they ain't saying a word, Lennox.
Yes.
Not a word in English. I think it was a Charles funeral, Charles funeral. Rowley, Lennox, are you hearing me good?
Loud and clear, loud and clear, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
He said at Hochoy Charles, right. He said at Hochoy Charles' funeral that they're going to bring the autonomy bill, right? For Tobago, and they needed 41 people to pass it. Received right away there now. He casting blame already on the UNC, the opposition. But Lennox, I heard that song in 2014, 2015, when Rowley said as soon as he gets into office, he's going to bring that bill and give Tobago autonomy. 8 years later, and you're now talking about that because we're going into our next election. But you see, Rowley feel that we have selective memory syndrome or short-term memory. But I hope the people of Tobago are good listen again. And sooner that we unite in this country to move here better for us. But everybody want to be a leader. Everybody wanted that. And what is even more distasteful? Rowley destroying the country. Not a word, but it's only Kamla must go. Kamla this and Kamla that. Folks, pretenders. Lennox, thanks a lot and have a good night for listening to my 2 cents.
Yes, indeed, my friend. And it gets worse, people. But we have someone on the line here. So, Professor, good night. Sorry about that. We had to wait until, of course, Ms. Santa Cruz exhausted her contribution. A pleasant good night. Again, you're soft boy. Come a little closer to your phone. Why? Hardly getting your boy. Let me see. What's happening here? What's happening here, boy? Boy, you're talking very, very, very low. I don't know what's happening there. We not getting it. Listen, hear what? I'll give back the phone and they will make the adjustments to make sure that I can hear you, because nobody's hearing you. I hearing you, but nobody's hearing you because you're coming across very soft. It may be something with the phone. So somebody take the phone. Somebody take the phone. I'm not getting him. The speaker seemed to be a problem, so I'm not getting him into the speaker here. All right, yeah, people. So I was saying that it is worst because it was Dr. Rowley who said again in another public statement that parents were sending monsters to school. Parents were sending monsters to school. He said that as well. Understand? We're going to deal with these issues frontally. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Hello. All right. It seems as though that might have been a miss one. All right. So yes, he said that parents were sending children, and he called them monsters, to school. Yeah. Let's go once again to the lines. Pleasant good night.
Good
Welcome.
night. Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night
Miss
to you.
Valson is here. You
Yes,
see
good night.
that music you play in the background there?
Yeah.
That was the same music they play in Dance Funeral Home for me to come in to see my husband body.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
that brings back a lot of memories. But at the end of the day, I am not against that. You know, you could play, but that brings back memories to me.
All right.
You know, that
Well, what I've
music,
done,
when they
I've taken
open,
off the audio. I've taken off the audio, and I'm
when
only
they
leaving the video.
when they open the door and that's when I want to say to come in, that was the music was playing.
All
I
right.
and my two children and my grandchildren were the first to receive the body. You hear? But I'm still waiting for your call. I'm still waiting for Miss
Yeah, I will
Santa
certainly do that
Cruz.
tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow
But
instead.
I
Yeah, I have some
know
time
you're
here.
busy.
Yeah, boy,
You
very,
take
very,
your time.
very. Yes.
You take your time. I know you have a lot on your plate.
Yes,
But I'm here. But that
but that's
music,
an urgent matter that I need to
it
attend.
brings back memories to me. After Tuesday, my husband had one name. Right? I want you to have a
Yes.
good night, safe journey home, and the blood of the Lord to cover you and reach you home safe. Because you have
Thank
a
you very much.
lot of enemy outside you.
Yes, of course.
Right?
There's
And
a
good
lot.
night to Miss Santa Cruz. I hope you're well and you're doing good. I hope you're in good health and strength and shape. Okay?
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Let's see if we get another one on the line. Let's see. Another call is coming in. Let's. Where's that call? Where's that call? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Call back caller. I'm not seeing it on the system. So you would. I've not seen it on the system. So I was making a point, and that is the foul-mouthed prime minister we have. Some people say he has a stink mouth. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Right.
Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox,
Yes.
good night again. So, like, the
Yes.
audio, it's kind of low, but that's okay. But you can hear me, right?
Yes, loud and clear, loud and clear.
I wanted to say something, and this is
Go
like real facts, okay? And you could research it yourself. But you see, Sai Baba, right? And this is the truth, right? When I was little, I went to the Hindu school, right? Central in a Hindu school. And these are facts. I could just share this with everybody on the air because nobody gives a crap because everybody who was around when I went to school, they're either old or dead now. So
Okay.
they're grandparents and they're too busy with their own lives. But when I went to Central in a Hindu school, the Saji ones were the big people, the Prasads and all those people, the Talcos and all those people were very rich people in the village at that time. They still are now. They run everything. And so they funded the Hindu school. But when I was there, it was just not a very good school to learn. And maybe it changed now. But Sai Baba was a big deal in the 70s, and they brought him in one time. They brought this picture, and they were doing a puja, a prayer. I remember being a kid, and we all had to go. And they were showing us this picture of Sai Baba, and they said, "Look, the picture's crying. He's crying," and there were tears flowing down his eyes from a picture. Now, I have a chemistry degree, so I wouldn't go beyond that. And
Yes.
so, when Sai Baba died a few years ago, and they went to his house in India, his mansion, they found chests and boxes, hundreds of big wooden chests filled with jewelry, money, unbelievable. I would say in today's value, it probably worth billions of dollars.
Okay.
People gave him so much, and he collected all of that and never distributed that wealth. So he is kind of a cult, and I'll share this with everybody out there. You see, when you bring in religion and you're working with workers and people, you can't do that. God didn't tell you how to treat workers or anything. We have human rights laws now, laws on the books and constitutional rights. And those young girls who work at Pennywise, who get hired, they should be part of a union. Pennywise should have a union because they hire mostly young women who are vulnerable. A lot of them have children. Single young women never married with children. And they should offer scholarships. They should offer access to unbelievable opportunities because Pennywise has billions of dollars. And they can't, they're disputing a wage increase over giving a young girl 15-minute break. They're standing all day talking to people all day on your feet, 10 hours a day. This is how we treat our own people. It's insulting. There's no union anymore to help exploited workers. All of them sleeping in bed with politicians. Even the construction industry abuses men. They emasculate men. You're driving a truck all day, all evening, and you're not in a union? You're driving a truck with no AC or no window, everything hot. You have to go through potholes. You have to go through heavy traffic. You breathe in pollution. You drive. You don't even have the right clothes to wear. You can't stop on a break because you're on the road and you have no rights. And your boss could fire you tomorrow and you're out on the street again. You see, this is called capitalism and exploitation. And this is what this kind of government does. They're cutting back on our rights to earn a living, to get human rights so we could have dignity in work, so we could raise our family, so we could have a living freaking wage, not a surviving wage. And I telling you, it's only going to get worse now. And you'll see the rats are coming out. All the exploitation will come out because there are so many young people looking for jobs and there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
And young boys, and they're getting angry, and parents have no work. They're waiting for the grandmother to get nanny, nana, aji, aja, granny, grandpa to get the pension, and they're going to live off that. And what are we getting from the prime minister? He's telling us that he's going to build a ferry. He's gonna put cargo now, and they're gonna ship food. He didn't tell anything to the villagers. What are we going to do? How are we going to benefit from that? What jobs are going to be created?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Tell us, give us everything. Nothing, nothing.
Yeah.
And so I say to you, my friend Lennox,
Yes.
something has to happen and
Yeah, yeah,
something has
yeah.
to give.
I am going to address
People need
all
to
of
arm
them.
themselves soon. All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm going to address all of those because I mean, it makes sense. Makes sense. And yet at the same time, we see the response or the kind of platitudes and the kind of what I consider to be optimism that are being expressed by this man and this government. You really want to hit them a collective clout. You want to hit them a collective clout. Let's go straight, of course, into the line again. We don't know it has become, of course, a favorite now, and therefore I had to respond. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox. Good night.
Good night to
Calling
you.
from Tobago East.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Calling from Tobago East.
Go ahead. Yes.
Now, something I want to bring to your attention.
Go ahead.
I was making some check on that in Tobago here.
Yes.
Now, I understand that for a while now, the quarry in Sully Park cannot operate, right?
Right.
And now I'm getting to realize now too that over the years that Sully Park quarry was running without a license. How
I
on
see.
earth that organization like the Tobago House Assembly could be operating a quarry and they don't have a license? You have quarry work running in Trinidad and them is private and they have license. So how come the THA? So what has happened before Parliament take over? So 21 years the PNM run the quarry in Study Park and they didn't have a license for do the operation there. So that now they're having a problem now with getting dynamite to do the blasting. So it's a very long while now since they cannot do any blasting. So all we're using up right now is like the material they have on the ground.
Material that they stored, the storage, that they had,
right?
the stockpile.
And this problem stem from since the election in Tobago where the PNM lost,
Yes.
Dr. Rowley, once he got highway, he have a way of spiting everybody. But you see, the problem he don't understand too. The more pressure you give Tobagoans, the more hate we go get a hate,
Yeah, we know that.
He don't understand the more hate he go get,
He does know that. He does know that.
You know why I saying this thing? You know why I saying this thing, Lennox? I want Tobagoans who listen to this to understand what really, really taking place.
Right.
Because before Farley and them, it was just a set of friends and family was running that quarry. Right? So some of them get stamped out now because a new administration come. So because of the fact that he can't get away, he and his friends and them, he do all kind of things to mash up Tobago. You see, it's not only Farley alone he mashing up, It's everybody in Tobago in mashing up. Because the present administration want to export some of the material up the Caribbean. And like when they approach central government to get the license done and the authorization, they blank them. Right? So this is an outright blanking going on.
Victimization.
And Dr. Rowley have to stop that.
Is the appropriate word.
If he saying he's at Tobago and writing a book about Mason Hall to Whitehall, he should be doing the right thing and not to be frustrating Tobagoans. Why he should be writing? He should be writing from St. Anne's to the Red House, however he want to write. Because it's close to the madhouse. So he can write from St. Anne's to Whitehall. Right?
Yeah,
that way he should have written that book.
Yeah, that's
from
the
St. Anne's to Whitehall. Because he's living in St. Anne's right now.
Yeah.
Madness. He's doing too much of stupidness and he needs to stop it.
Yes.
Too much of victimization all wrong with this man, boy. Is everybody he victimizing him? Are people still talking about this man and think this man is a crazy man, he's a lunatic.
Yes. That's
this man is a lunatic.
Yeah.
Just imagine Farley could be his son and he victimizing a young fella.
Yeah. If we tell him, he said, soon he will see.
He don't know extent of his victimization.
No, because he
have no extent.
He can't see
this man is just his behavior is such a fool. He's behaving worse than a fool, He's a total lunatic.
Yeah.
Lennox, bye. I just understand what's going on this man here head, I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know what's going on this man here. Just imagine, you go. We have nothing on the island, and they're trying to make the quarry make some money, and this man doing all things possible because of politics. He using politics right through to get his way.
Yeah. But
Champagne, the next girl away.
This man mad. If it was so serious. If it was so serious, I mean.
Champagne, the next girl who they?
Yeah.
They ain't doing nothing for Tobagoans. Yes. Since they have been there, they have never represented nobody in Tobago more than themselves. Yes. Them two girls there, two girls.
It's obvious. Yeah, they in for a nice ride. Ain't far right at our
They're not
expense,
let. Listen, this woman went the last election day. Here was she campaigning.
Yes.
She built a bridge by a school in Pembroke. So she
Just
campaigned
so
on that.
Mr. Tagarigo, you coming on now?
Right?
Yes.
Right? So, Lennox,
You have a fellow from Tobago.
I'll listen you up there.
All right, okay then.
And
Thanks, amigo. Thanks, amigo. Wonderful. Of course, President, sorry for that delay, but of course we had a little technical problem with the phone. But go ahead, Mr. Tagarigo. Loud and clear. Now,
Right.
yes.
Last night I was telling you that detections take over the border,
Uh-huh.
right? They literally tell the president by to go to hell.
Right.
They put barbed wire, they put out all the troops,
Yeah.
and they take on.
You're talking about the southern border of the United States with Mexico. Right.
Texas and Mexico, right?
Yes.
And as you know, if it wasn't for the Texans, Texas would have belonged to the Mexicans.
Yes. They had this war. Yeah. Mexican war,
So,
yeah.
they stand in the ground and they tell the president, go to hell. They taking command of the border now.
Right.
Right? So what we need is a Texan. But the only Texan we have is one. Basdeo Panday.
Basdeo Panday, yes. I have him in the background there just to tap some loose ends. Yes.
And because as you know, he was
That's right.
you know that, and I know that. The next thing I want to talk is Rowley with banana thing.
Yes.
When Rowley talk about that banana thing, the whole Caribbean insult, you know.
Yeah, of course.
All Africans in the Caribbean. That's why they get rid of him as the chairman of CARICOM and all this thing. And the former Prime Minister Grenada, you must look up for the thing.
Yes. I did something.
We need a city bananas in Grenada. You must look for that video, Lennox, you will find it.
I will. Yes.
And the next thing I want to tell you is, see that the man with property tax, you can't trust not do easy. You remember the 2000 election of Mr. Panday?
Yeah.
When they had commissioner inquiry,
Yes.
and he went and say, my name was on the list who dead. And the dead man walked in the inquiry and said, look, man, what are you talking about?
Yes.
So as far as lying, I think it's controlled, but we know what happened.
Oh yeah. We know that is idiosyncratic. It is typical. It is stereotypical. It is their way of living to lie. But go ahead.
Yes. And then also, if you all will talk about like Cinderella story, who can't pay the property tax, Prince Charming will come.
and the children and the children go be lawyers. Telling people in Laventon that the children go be lawyers. Yeah.
Or that legal, or like crap. You know that, and I know that.
Yes.
And you can't take land and building tax and change it into property tax and say the same thing.
That's right.
That's total madness.
Yeah, but he tried to tell the people that no.
Yeah,
Before he wasn't saying that.
Tell the court that, and the great man himself, Basdeo Panday, put judicial review so that could happen now.
Yeah.
People are in place that no government could take advantage of the population,
Yes.
whether UNC or PNM.
Yeah.
So in the judicial review, I expect.
Caller, I have someone on my phone in the mic, so just hold on 1 second. He's tying up. All right? Go ahead, Tagarigo.
Keep talking, Lennox.
Huh?
Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, go ahead, Tagarigo. Tie up
Right.
your contribution.
And well, if somebody on the line, I think I make my point already.
All right, okay then. All right,
I don't
thanks.
think the opposition could ever lose that case
Yes.
with this property tax business.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Right. But we're going to talk tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. All right. Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. And of course, all the best to you and yours for 2024. Good night. Good night, Tobago. Tobago, good night. Hello? You may have to call back. I'm not hearing you at all if you are speaking, but I see silence. All right, well, call back, caller. and we will accommodate. All right, okay, so here it comes again. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. All the best for the new year.
Yeah, Lennox, good night.
Good night to you. Good night to you. Yes, indeed. Long time no hear from.
How you going?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Just rolling with the punches and waiting for 2025, if not before.
Right. Nice. But Lennox, I want to ask a question, right?
Go ahead.
We see what is happening with regards to crime, because the biggest issue right now in Trinidad and Tobago is crime.
Yes.
As you realize now, Tobago has basically started to adopt the same type of activity as Trinidad.
Yeah, I think you were one of the persons who would say that was a possibility. If my memory serves me right, the way
because remember it's one island.
Yeah, you're saying you're adopting
the connection between the island.
Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago, that kind of Trinidad mentality. Yeah, you were in fact saying that in many of your contributions. But go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what I want to find out from you, what do you believe can be done in the short term and the long term to deal with crime? And I want us to take out the part, because I know it's a social problem and that sort of stuff, but let me put aside that part. I'm talking about in regards to the policing and the national security apparatus and mechanism. How do we treat with that in the short term to try, because you can't eradicate crime totally. That's out of the question. What we can do, of course, would be to reduce the impact of minimize, right? So as I said, put aside, because I know a lot of people talking about social programs with teaching your children and keeping them occupied. I'm not talking about that social aspect. Let's put that aside. I want to deal with the security aspect of it. I'm talking about the police, the army, the police commissioner issue, that sort of stuff. What can we do in the short term and in the long term to deal with this crime problem? I will listen off. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. But you will be surprised of my answer, though. The long and short of it, the PNM must go. You cannot have a prime minister and an administration, a government, with its slim majority, instituting a commissioner of police, for example, that was almost last in terms of the evaluation of that individual, and put them there to serve as commissioner of police. But more than that, you cannot have a government that, when it is convenient for itself, will sanitize and, of course, absolve persons who have interfered with either the national purse or engaged in offenses against the very offices that they hold, ministers, etc. And the cabinet itself, the government, protects those individuals. You cannot have a situation where the Prime Minister, as head of the National Security Council, believes that he has operational responsibility and go and take the budget from the Prime Minister's office and then say he employing law enforcement agencies from Barbados and, of course, the UK. You cannot have a Prime Minister who, because he did not get what he wanted, and in circumstances where it is clear victimization, in an attempt, of course, to get rid of either an incumbent or the best person who might have been able to address the question of crime, and then take up the role as if he usurped the responsibility of Commissioner of Police. He did that when Gary Griffith was either out of the country or when he, Rowley, was not satisfied with of course, the drug susu matter. And, of course, some incident in the West where Gary Griffith said under COVID, he wasn't able, of course, to enter the compound of persons because it would have exposed the police service to a situation where this government regularly expose the treasury of the country and the taxpayers for endless money, as we saw, of course, with the way how he handled the OAS matter and the extension of the highway. When he frustrated the contractor went into arbitration in England, in London, and got, of course, $1 billion that you and I now have to pay. And this is stereotypical. You cannot have a prime minister and a government that collectively conspired because the prime minister himself would have been the subject of investigation as far as the fake oil matter is concerned. The fake oil matter is concerned, and closed down Petrotrin and plunged the country into, of course, a financial quagmire and disaster. No one knew that what happened between Russia, or what is happening between Russia and Ukraine would have been. But just as how Rowley could take credit for the oil company that emerged as a result of the fragmentation of Petrotrin and say that they got a windfall of $8 billion because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, and as a result of the increase in oil and gas prices and the demand for that commodity in Europe as a consequence of the locking off of the pipeline of gas from Russia. And our local heritage company got $1 billion. He remained silent on what the oil refinery would have gotten. I argue, and I say so without fear of contradiction, that if the oil refinery was operating, if Heritage got, not because of increased production, stimulated by, of course, the situation in Europe and the demand for these commodities, not because of that, because they have not increased any production beyond what was happening when it was Petrotrin. But the price of a barrel of oil increased double. And so that windfall came. Well, I want to tell Rowley, and I want to tell the population, that while he was taking credit and saying, thank our lucky stars, well, if the refinery was still operating, I want to say, he would have had difficulty in attempting, of course, to implement property tax, because we would have been bathing in money, because Biden, the president of the United States, was appealing to the oil refiners in the United States. Oh gosh, is it only making a pound and a crown? Just imagine what our oil refinery would have been making at this point in time, consequential of that very inadvertent or unplanned opportunity. This wicked man, he ignores that possibility, but of course relishes the other possibility because it is to his advantage. That dog of a prime minister. So to answer your question once again, the first thing has to happen. There is a nexus, there is a connection, there is an umbilical cord. There is an umbilical cord between the crime and criminality in this country and the PNM, especially under this marauding bunch of opportunistic political parasites who are criminals by every stretch of the imagination you could muster up. And this prime minister, who is the head of this devastating and most, of course, unholy and most hideous, wicked and nasty government, clearly a criminal enterprise. They have, of course, pursued and mustered and coalesce and put together called the PNM. You think these young people ain't watching how Balize House looking like a mall? When they get 100 million and counting from after Rowley told us that the PNM was bankrupt, and one of the issues that he had to address, and of course at the time give himself credit that he is so PNM more than everybody else, and that of course he had the responsibility, and therefore nobody should take on Manning, in other words, because he had the task of course talking to creditors, whether it's bankers, whether it be, of course, state enterprises, whether it be TTT that PNM was owing for, of course, coverage, and, of course, a PTSC for transportation, and so on and so forth. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, quite apart from, of course, the 4 million that he said that the party was owing, and suddenly you could bill. You pay off that and now billing something for $100 million, and you don't know that the population knows that by any stretch of the imagination, that you are blasted, not only corrupt, but you are criminal, and that you are evil, and that you are no example, and that of course the example you will be setting is to thief, a kleptocratic group of individuals that of course those fellas no different to the gangsters that they want to generate laws for, and to of course stymie and of course put bridle on them. When, of course, the bridal should be going to Rowley and his entire crew of kleptocrats. So my solution to you, my friend, Rowley and they must get the hell out of office. The people ultimately must decide when, of course, they try to delay, which they are engaged at this point in time, hoping that what they witness and experience in Tobago will not proliferate, will not manifest itself in Trinidad and Tobago in the next elections. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
A pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
I want to say good night to everybody live, everybody in chat, everybody regionally, internationally. Well said, Mr. Lennox. Very good education. Well, Mr. Lennox, I ain't taking too long. I just have 3 points to make quick.
Go ahead, man.
Rowley was the downfall of the Manning administration, right? He get the call election. He was the downfall of Manning election, and then the People Partnership come into power. Then this man come with the email gate, and he destroyed. He was the People Partnership Party to call election. What kind of hold this man have on the population, Mr. Lennox? The second thing is, why it is that when anytime UNC come out with policies to help the youths, the young people, the future of the generation, I would just say two examples, the live sport and the laptop. He always finding corruption in it. And the third point, I want people to open their eyes. All this crime taking place, carnival coming up, you will see how much measures this PNM government going and take to make sure this carnival is a safe carnival, because the 1% money involved in this. There's money involved here now. So I want people to understand, you will see how much police officers and how much steps they're going to take for this carnival to make it safe. All right, Mr. Lennox, I'm listening off here.
You are calling from the United States, and you are so, what I consider to be on the button. You are clearly in a state of total and absolute knowledge as to the nature of these evil people, incompetent, impotent, wicked, dangerous, and is the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago, and has weaponized government against the people. You're quite right. Around carnival time, the police will go and rounds up fellas who they suspect to be troublemakers and have them there until, of course, Ash Wednesday. That's the first thing. But in the context of carnival, it has a more sinister intent. Is to try to spend as much money to deflect attention. You know, like people who are alcoholic and they drown their sorrows or may not be necessarily alcoholics, but of course have a problem and will drown their problems in maybe cocaine or a bottle of punching. That's Rowley, and they believe that they can do that and have the people drown their sorrows in punching. And I substitute punching, of course, for the revelry and the gaiety that this period would have engendered. A person, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, hello, good night, Lennox. I tune in late.
Yes.
But I was in time to hear you talk there about the oil refinery and the gas and the windfall and so. I had mentioned something for some activists or even the opposition to ask. And I asking again, I would like to know where we getting our gas refined. If the oil refinery closed down, we have to get the gas refined somewhere.
Yes.
Right? I want to know where we getting our refined gas from. This old gas they're selling people expensive. And where they're storing a lot of gas and selling all over the Caribbean with these CARICOM countries where they're out of Petro-Caribbean. And everything is CARICOM, and here and CARICOM. I see they're taking the ferry now to do cargo to go Guyana and Barbados and things. So they more want to take up we things to sell to them. We don't want nothing from them, you know. We have enough here and we could do it all. Everything this man do is a trick. And after a while, is then the citizens getting to find out. Sometimes I'm mentioning these things. It has so much activists listening. What it is they're doing. They're talking together. And people just be talking about, Mr. Rima, why you don't go out there and protest? Why you do this? Don't do that. I just be going out. Well, I used to be going out there. Right? I done that. You know that, Lennox, I done that long time. I must be giving information, talking, and no togetherness, nobody not pushing. How long I was talking about reporting these people to international bodies. Look the hour we want to do this thing. Right? We have to keep pushing for international observers. We have to report these people, not only the Prime Minister, but Earl as well. She's a fraud. That's a fraud. You can have somebody at the bottom of a list and then appoint them. Will you ever hear that? And everybody accept this thing? She not qualified. That woman should be sanctioned. You hear what it is I'm telling you?
Yeah,
but it ain't he alone running this. He is not the PNM running this country, you know. His best friend tell him, I will protect you. So he dismantled all the independent institutions. He is the big dictator, right? No checks and balances, just like his friend. I'm telling all of that long time. No checks and balances, no procurement, no this, no that, and everything crumbling. These people that want to fix crime at a big onion just ask you about the crime, but you went off, you kind of lose focus. These people not fixing no crime. They have a plan.
I say Rowley and them had to go. That's all I can say. It's a fixed crime. They had to go. They are the ones causing it, so therefore all they have to go. That's my answer. Go ahead.
They have to go.
Yeah, that's it. Because it can't fix without with them being there. Can't fix.
No, at all. I am saying that they will fix it, you know, Lennox.
No, I know.
They're not fixing nothing. I just say that. They're not fixing anything. But the Tobago man asks that if you have an idea. But at one point now, you know, you will went off course now. You know, sometimes when you touch on something else, you does, you know. Go on it, right?
Things, yes,
so
I agree with you.
That is the whole case. So we can't, brother, Tobagonian man, Rowley and them ain't come out to fix no crime. They come here to mash up the place. They have a plan. They are the mafia, the brotherhood. Right. Have a good night, Lennox.
Yes, indeed, of course. And no matter what, you could bring whatever plan. Once they are there, it will be scuttled. But I want to partially, of course, ask Miss Arima to go to the top of the class for what she began with. What she began with. That's a very, very, very perceptive and very intelligent observation. The ferry that he is now boasting about, CARICOM, to, of course, be engaged with respect, of course, to the tri-nation transportation. They say for food, people, I suppose, and, of course, access to bulk things that the country may need in support, of course, of reducing our food bill. I'll come back to it. A pleasant good night.
Good night, Leonard. How are you going, boy?
Of course, as could be in this circumstance.
Oh, you hear it now? You see that talk where Mr. Matus come with an accent for a lot ago?
Uh-huh.
Where's she going, you know? I have good news for she going. But in 2 months' time, when she retire, that's when she go leave. You see, all of them just live with their own agenda. They get a pension, they get a gratuity, they get all their perks. Then it's studying me and you. We could get over 100 crimes tomorrow and 20 people dead. She's still sticking around there and praying, you know. But she only there for the next 2 months. And she saying she have a plan. What plan she have? She have no plan at all. She plan is for that last. So the next 2 months, February and March, get she full pension and gratuity. And she riding off in the sunset, you know. That's the end of the story.
And we'll let them don't mind that they go on to the next, of course, victim of their incompetence and manipulation.
Yes, and he could have looked down this for next 12 man again.
Yeah, of course. Next yes man. Yeah.
Right. And sadly the public would have burden again and people dying left, right and center. And here I'm enjoying and having a nice time. This government don't really care about the money. Once it's in hit home, they don't care at all. Like I say, the sun and the moon will fall on me tomorrow, and all of them gonna sit down there and gather all the perks and all the benefits and die to what them want to see. They don't care because they have no consequences for their actions. It's only election time that will come there enough. So until that time comes, me and you are the watch out for we back. Have a good night.
Yes, indeed. But I want to say this, that when I listen and look at their conduct, it reminds me of Selwyn Richardson. They were saying all of that, that he was, of course, National Security, Attorney General, etc. And look what happened to him. I am extremely fearful. I'm extremely fearful. I say no more. Because I am on the ground. And I can tell you, if you believe that they get away, they could get away with that. But let me get back, of course, to the commendation that I gave to Miss Arima on her perception. And that is that arrangement to invest the boat that we spent 17 million US for. Yes, the galleon passage is to be deployed in this CARICOM arrangement to bring food and to timely make intervention in order to bring goods and services, heavy items among CARICOM countries. You see, I commended her because she also wound into the discussion the sinister agenda of Rowley and they. How is it sinister? Well, the galleon passage was supposed to be the boat that they bought in advance to, of course, ply between Togo and Tobago. You know what I say? I say that the galleon passage we were told was bought to do what? To ply between the seaport that they were supposed to be constructing in Togo to Tobago. How suddenly now you deploying it there and you ain't tell us and you ain't confirm with us what is going to happen to the bridge between Togo and the Tobago? Is it that has been abandoned? Well, we need to know. We need to know, Rowley. You cannot come with them kind of slipshod, old-time hackneyed, beaten part and well-known because of your conduct and your insincerity and your lies and your deception and your, of course, your dishonesty. You are dishonorable man. How could you talk about the deploying of the galleon passage in a project that is supposed to be Caribbean-oriented without explaining to us what has happened with that project where, of course, the boat was there for I almost say years, you could say years, just sitting there and couldn't make the trip between Port of Spain and Scarborough until, of course, you bought the other two boats unnecessarily wasting the resources of the country once again, and then beating your chest because you know now that you have 3 boats now to ply the route, and you know that it ain't making sense. So what you have done is try to, of course, create some other fiction, some other deception to say that I have found a feasible project to deploy the galleon passage because it has been there sitting in fallow for many months. Moving. I saw it when I was going to Tobago, pack up right on the boat, right on the Tobago jetty there. People just cleaning and painting, and that's all. Whilst, of course, the two new boats were working, and therefore you know now that it makes sense. You have to pay for fuel, the same cost of to run empty or to stand up. It's the same cost, of course, to run if you're full, half full, as the case may be, because it is being subsidized. So you want to palm off that there and don't account to us as to what has happened with the Togo port and the Togo to Tobago ferry. Rowley, we will monitor you. There are other things. Let's go to the lines. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox. I'm calling again
you.
because, yes, Lennox, my God, my friend, you absolutely nailed it. I was trying to figure out what was that connection with the galleon passage and why did they bring this boat, this cargo ship to Trinidad? And you're right, it was for the Togo Tobago route. Remember, they
That's right.
were going to spend hundreds of billions on that, and it
Not
cost,
a word.
yeah,
But making new announcements
and
about that boat.
no, the other thing too is how did they acquire the galleon passage? The galleon passage was being built
as usual, as the other two boats. Corruption.
And the galleon passage was being built by for a private operator in Venezuela, and the operator declined because of all the sanctions. They couldn't use that cargo ship anymore, and so all of a sudden, this government stepped in and bought that damn thing. What the heck? They were in relations with Venezuela, negotiating deals. I bet you that galleon passage is going to be privatized. They're not talking about funding right now. Somebody's going to be gifted that boat, that ship, that holds, 100 vehicles, or is it 1,000 vehicles? I forget. It's a big ship. It holds a lot.
It will hold less than what the others, and there was no accommodation. as the other boats, but yet still, because of the bubble, they saw an opportunity to spend and line their pockets, and that is what they did. Because Imber told us that there was no agents involved. It was a ministerial committee put together by Rowley, and at the end of the day, an agent ended up buying the blasted boat. Go ahead.
There's no scrutiny now because nobody can investigate the prime minister because he doesn't leave paper trails. All he does is he works in the shadows of smoke screens, and we have to.
He feels. Yes, so he feels. He could get away with
So
that.
he feels, and all of this money that they're spending. I remember Imber spoke in Parliament once, and he did say this. He said that they wanted to create a ferry service so they could take people from Trinidad to Barbados, to all of the islands, like a ferry boat, like a cruise ship.
Hide that poor investment, hide that waste that is the galleon passage, both money and the boat itself. Totally inadequate to serve the bridge, the Tobago, Port of Spain.
Yeah, exactly.
Bridge.
I think that this deal was intended to be privatized. It's going to go in private hands. I'm being honest. You think the government could fix a freaking ship? We don't even have engineers in the port. Half the time, these guys working on the port with those big cranes, and they're working with the union is non-existent, and OSHA is not there. And in the port, you have one guy. Half the cranes are outdated and old. It's dangerous. And we got most of the guys will be high half the time when they're using those cranes and places corrupted. I wouldn't go there with that. Let me leave that topic there.
Mad
but all
criminals,
I want to say is,
criminals in high office. Mad criminals in high office.
There's somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And the other point that Mr. Rima made that is very poignant as well. Apart from the fact that I know and the opposition is engaged, of course, in looking at the whole question of foreign entities to which Trinidad and Tobago are signatories, whether it's United Nations, whether it's regional, whether it's hemispheric. I know because I am engaged as well. But I think she made a very valid point in terms of where our gas is coming from, and it requires some kind of investigation, some kind of information to be disclosed. So I'm going to add for Monday to my inquiry as to whether or not the government got to the 200,000 owners of property to populate that list that the court say is required at minimum in order but the court say to institute property tax. Well, I say to unleash. I want to make it because it is wicked and evil. And as I told you, that the oil refinery would have made it imperative on the government not to implement or add any more taxes. That is the kind of money that we missed. Billions of dollars because of the closure of the oil refinery and the opportunity to not be able to exploit what transpired between, or what is transpiring between Russia and Ukraine. They're telling me about. And more than that, during COVID, people, the oil producers, those who are either were in OPEC, the organization, the organization of oil important countries, or outside of OPEC, they were giving away oil. They were giving it away. At one point in time, it was $1 a barrel because of COVID and all other factors. So we could have gotten all of the storage capacity of Trinidad and Tobago and maybe put some back in the ground. Put some back in the ground during that period. It's $1, and some of the some of the Middle Eastern countries will say, come and take it for free. And of course, we have a network, is over 100 years of oil. So we had the capacity to bring, take, and for nothing. And Rowley and them trying to make us show a blind eye at that. You know, we would have been swimming in money. Swimming in money. Understand that that is what we have missed by this viper and this wicked set of people who, of course, up to today, they can't even get sale for the blasted oil refinery. But look what we missed. And because of the avalanche and the windfall that we would have gotten, they would have been hard pressed to implement that property tax that they are so insistent upon. Now they have failed, wasted, and of course engaged in the level of profligacy, mismanagement, and the deception, and of course the crippling of our economy. That's not waste time. So we need, of course, to add that to the investigation in terms of calling for where these material are coming from. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, Lennox. Miss Arima again.
Go ahead.
He told us the other day in a conference, right, that he will be getting the crude, heavy crude from his partner next door. He now robbing that. But here now, Lennox, the man getting the crude long time, you know. You hear? I want him to answer to the citizens of this country when he get the heavy crude, where he does get it refined, where he refining it, and how much people he refining the crude for. If there's any sanctioned country anywhere, somewhere by here, right?
Yeah,
And next
that's
thing
a
we
valid
should ask
question.
him to Lennox. Yeah, we wasn't paying attention. We want some answers. We have to ask him right through where they're refining all this crude and why they're storing a set of refined gas here. Hmm? All them countries he's selling this thing to up the Caribbean. What is the deal? Right? Stop lying to the people and then coming and trying to robbing thing after. He come like Stuarty when he lie about the visit of this criminal woman that they bring inside of here. He come out after and say she asked to come in and all kind of lie. Hmm? And before that, they're lying and saying that she come for COVID. Now after you admitting, and we must accept that. Eh? These people bold face, they're mad.
Telling you.
And if we keep leaving them up to these kind of things, it will be a mess inside of here, you know.
Of course.
Right? We want to know is our taxpayers' money where who you're paying to refine all this crude where you're getting from your partner. For yourself and for all them rest of country where you're selling back. We want to know the whole deal there. Right? Okay, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. And remember what I said, because it's always something sinister, always something evil, something self-conceited, something greedy to steal what you never or could have dream to have, and you're just disappointing and you generated ache, pain. It was Bob Marley who said, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Well, Rowley try to make us the fools. There is enough, there has been enough. It's mismanagement and poor choice making because of their selfish, greedy, and of course, avarice disposition, and want to stay there to do us harm, and want, of course, to find ways and means to manipulate the system and the institutions in order for them to stay there so they could continue to do us harm, whether, of course, before or after, or should I say during 2025. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Loud and clear.
Right. I can't remember the phrase where it is used. But you want to perform.
Yes.
I can't remember it. But Biden playing big. I mean, waiting for two big boys. And as a result of that, we have no British warships in the Caribbean waters.
Yes.
That's what prevent away to talk about the Lord and him including his perform.
Mm.
And all who planning big thing here, let them remember that the base in Chagaramas belonged to the Americans until 2062. So anybody who step out the line and feel they could come inside here, America reaching the Chagaramas in a jiffy. Let them kill that, put that in the pipe and smoke it.
Yes, indeed.
Right? That base belonged to America until 2062.
Oh, yes. There is some technicality. Yeah. Technically,
So all these
yes.
who make it a big plan, you know, they tell you when you feel everything come on the old path.
But that's what we right through. Everything he touches, over time collapses.
So,
over time collapses.
Should I say?
Yes, my friend. All right, yes, man. Let's go to the lines. It's one after the next. People, of course, I know that you are enthused, you are motivated, and you are upset at the same time as I am, and you have a right so to do. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, good night, my friend.
Good night to you as well.
Yeah. Well, you see, you're talking about thing there. I in that because here is when this government came into power, the first thing they see that how the Kamala Pasar region, they never service those boats. And I am a regular traveler to Tobago. And I will tell you something. The ferries, the Canadian company, they don't make joke when it comes to safety. And while traveling every single month to Tobago, they do play when it comes to maintenance of those boats. So that those boats were maintained regularly. They come on and say, "Oh, they never maintain the boat, and that's why the boat break down." The ferries would not have that. And furthermore, the records will show that the boats were refurbished. Now, the Express was fully refurbished in terms of the overall the seats and the air conditioning was just before this government came into power. When they came, they changed the what they call it they send back the ferries and they give somebody else the contract.
Yeah, some local
Then
fella collected to the PNM.
Yeah, and do you know that they hit the boat twice on the port when they was coming in, and that is why the boat and they couldn't fix it because one of my friends who was one of the divers who went in the morning, we was going to Tobago and he come, he say, "Boy," he say, "Partner, is you?" He say, "I say, yeah, boy." He say, "What going on?" I say, "Boy, keep back." He say, "Keep back." He say, "I ain't going nowhere." He said, "That boat ain't moving." He said that boat have a serious leak in it, right? And that's why they never get it fixed. That's why when they sell it, it sink wherever it was going. They never probably tell the people that the boat had a bad thing. You understand? That is one part of it. But those boats were refurbished. They were thing. And let me tell you something. This boat that they buy, the boats right now, the seat, but I sit down on our board because the seat straight up. People complaining about the seat because you can't lean back.
In modern time, every car has reclining seat. This man went and bought, but this man really hate Trinidadians, boy, and Tobagonians.
But let me tell you something.
He bought a boat with seats that can recline, you know, boy. Jesus Christ.
And boy, I tell you, you can't even, when you sit down in the, like, boy, they say people questioning about when I go up to now, because they say what, you know, you can't even lean back, you can't think your neck, so boy is back and out of that boat. But that is one part of it. The Galleon Passage was apparently from reading a Loop News thing. The Galleon Passage was bought for $17.5 million, where the Express was bought for 20 million US, and the TNT Express was bought for 60 million US. Right? Now, what the difference in price, right? But anyway, I think that was done in, I think it's in Manning time, or I can't remember which regime that begin the
Manning time.
Right?
Yeah, Manning time.
And you know, even the spirit up to this day, I prefer traveling in a boat because it's more comfortable to sit in. So you spend so much money to bring in this boat, and that is what you get for your money. I feel like a big rip-off. You understand? Another thing that you remember the Prime Minister say when he come in, he said how he made a promise that he was going to build a private factory in Point. And you know how much election passed and they still vote for him? Any private factory yet? What about the shipbuilding thing? Nothing like these fellas and there's only promise you thing, boy, and people doesn't understand. They do business about you and me. If you don't make money, you ain't getting nothing. That highway, alright, the Galian Passage. And they say that what about the project from Tobago to Togo? What going on with that? You
Yeah,
understand?
and
But
that
you
was
see,
bought for that. He said that they speedily went there because he was so embarrassed and his political stocks was winning at the time because the people
yeah,
was piling on the pressure on him. They go and buy that and still look for a hustle from it. Still look for a hustle from it. Them fellas are political cobos, you know. They will eat from
they
the
made
remains,
promises.
the skeleton
Yeah.
politically. Go ahead.
Yeah, as the UNC government, right? They one thing you could say about them, they bring a manifesto and they completed almost 95% of their manifesto. And one of the things is the schools and the things that they did things for children, they things to help mothers. Listen, anytime a situation arises, Kamala Prasad, the sister, she addressed it in a humanistic manner. You remember the child with the with the it has the woman who defined teeth in the milk or some kind of thing,
Yes.
right? She didn't ridicule the woman. She do so and she say, you know what? She realized there's an issue there and she tried to help. And if this government pays some
And she
attention
brought
to
out a
these type of
policy,
things, yeah,
milk for new mothers. Every new mother get
right,
milk as a
yeah.
consequence of
And
that
now I know what
incident.
they say. And they milk that, they milk that, and then they come wrong and say that oh she paying it to make baby. You
But
understand?
but more than that, Rowley say based on the amount of babies made a year on average, it was too much money allocated to that. That was Rowley come and say.
Wow.
Money can't go back.
And
Money
and
can't
uh,
go back. He said,
and and
but this man is an evil man to the core.
and, and this health minister saying that how it's less babies or some kind of thing,
Yeah, now he's saying
something
that
to that nature.
the mortality, well, no, the birth rate has been
Go
considerably
through it, yeah,
reduced. Yes,
low.
yes. He's saying now, yeah,
But let me ask you
it's slow.
something. I can answer that question for him. Who want to make babies in this wrong?
But
You know, long time
but
people say make children like 12 and up.
yeah, but I'll
No
show
people.
you how he's such an
Uh-huh.
ass. In the same
Mm-hmm.
breath, right? He's saying that the birth rate has been reduced, but he's taking credit for less babies being born dead.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Uh.
If your birth rate is low, then less babies will
Yeah.
certainly born. Less baby will born
Boy, this.
stillbirth. But go ahead, my friend.
Well. Well, you see, let me tell you something, eh? Yes, he used to be very how you say you would voicesterous or some kind of thing like that. So,
Yeah,
and
uh, uh,
you
boisterous,
realize you're
yes.
hardly hearing this. You realize you're hardly hearing this man in anything now, eh?
Everybody
Because he
frightened
haven't.
now. Everybody
Li-
sitting on a powder
Listen,
keg right now, just waiting for the Bamsi to
it's
blow up.
because here they say you realize how come or Harari was the man who fighting up with the tongue all the time and talking and boastfully and all kind of all of a sudden he take a backseat. You see here same oh gosh the health minister. You see him all the time talking blah, blah, blah,
The
blah, blah, blah.
only
All of a sudden
ass in the pack,
he again.
the only ass and a joker in the pack is Heinz. Heinz will
Yeah.
see jagged rocks, a precipice, and maybe high tension wire, and jump on it if Rowley tell him to go. That is the kind of ass he
Let me
is.
tell you, you realize why they put him there? I don't know if you realize why they put him there.
For exactly
That
that,
is one of
to
the only
take all, to
that
absorb all that nonsense. Only he alone
yeah,
could. The jackass that he
yeah.
is.
They have nowhere to put him. One, secondly, there is a ministry that you find that they might get no results in that. So you know
It's a
what? You take
fireball.
a seat
Yeah,
there,
it's
and
a
all he
fireball. Is a
yeah,
powder keg. It's ready to explode. And they put it there. And
yeah,
he taking that and
yep,
saying and still saying that he doing well. He doing
yeah,
well.
yeah. But let me tell you
Mother's
something. I tell you
record
this
upon record and
something,
he doing well. Go
and
ahead.
all the rest of fellas, right? Who reaping the treasury, them fellas in the front line. You realize that? All them
Yes.
fellas in the front line. And here they saying the UNC thief. Well, let me tell you something. 8 years, and I'm still saying the UNC thief. But if the UNC thief and bring so much of deliveries to the people at Trinidad and Tobago, and some of it, or let's say she thief, and some of it lying all over the country in the thing of schools, and all they open it yet. And all they want to tell me, all they have want to pick the children at heart, all they have no children at heart. And it's a wicked thing that all they open them schools. You know why? Because as somebody else built it. That is madness. All they open the
Yeah.
schools and give the children in the schools.
You know, I
You
could talk
understand?
that just the other day. I saw another one in Marbella where they vandalize. When I thought was one, not too far from the Banlara Stadium, I have a secondary school and a primary school. I went and visited that. But I was
Yeah, the
checking, of
primary
course,
school
the
in Prisal.
106 schools.
Yeah.
It's only the other day I got that one in Marbella, not too far from the gas station in Marbella. I'm talking about off the
Yeah.
highway.
Yeah.
Off the highway. There's one
Yeah.
there. I shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I say, well, why some
Yeah.
displaced person going there and take it over? Because I mean, it's a beautiful. You could see the infrastructure, the integrity of the structure itself is still intact, but taken over by Bush. Going there and live.
Yeah, and look,
And they
even
wouldn't allow it, you know.
the center she built for the children, I think the disabled children, right, in Cheese
Yeah.
Village, just on top of the highway, on the top of the flyover, as
Yeah.
they enter to go into the base, right,
Yes.
that building there, she built, I think that was for the disabled children. You have to know them are open that. And let me tell you something, my stepbrother was telling me, right, that he blind, right, and you know they cut funding for all the blind people.
I'm not
You know that?
surprised. I'm not surprised
They
because
cut
they
a
took
while
away
now,
the
you know.
funding for the cerebral palsy children. So who is them?
Yeah.
And them can't help themselves at all. And they're saying that
But this man,
ERP money wasn't
this
for them. And they're so
no.
self-righteous and inhumane
But
in the process.
but let me tell you something. This man called me almost in tears because he and his wife is both of them blind, and he living quite down what they call it, somewhere down San Rafael on that side. And he
Yes.
had to travel every day to go Port of Spain. He said every time he don't travel, that the money he working there for,
Double up, yeah, double up
just
and
was
exhausted, yeah.
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 Because
All right,
even he said
partners.
groceries had to be.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
only
but
have two
anyway, I
more
was long
minutes.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could do a whole
Take
night,
care.
but we only have 2 minutes. So you know what I mean? I want to conclude, of course, how devastating and how unwholesome and how nasty and how devious and how deliberate. I had a discussion with some people I respect them for their intellect. And the discussion came up with respect, of course. I think they asked me a question as to the talk was the difference between the UNC and the PNM. Because, of course, there are those who are saying it's one and the same. Yeah, young people will not vote because is half a dozen are one and 6 are the other. And they asked me to evaluate, and I've already done that. I have said already, and I repeat, I have found no major projects that the UNC would have been engaged in that has been proven to be corrupt. None whatsoever. And part of my argument, apart from, of course, examining all of them, is the fact that the PNM is silent on it and they are in government and trying to tell you at the same time that, of course, the UNC was or is corrupt. You know what I say? I say the PNM has not issued any indication to the population that the aquatic center, the velodrome, the cycling velodrome, the hospital in Couva, the UWI, the Bay campus, and all of the major projects that was undertaken by the UNC, including all those schools, 106 schools. Not one of them, the PNM has come forth and said they were corrupt. In fact, Rowley said he couldn't find them. Well, we find them for him. I'm talking about the schools. I would have thought that he would have said that they were corrupt. I thought they were saying that you can't find them, but they are there. As I said, I just found another one in Marabella, overgrown as the ones that I saw next to, not too far from the Brand Arab Stadium, taken over by nature, covered with bush. But there's another dimension to the UNC that I want to share as well. That is different to the PNM. You see, the PNM is a collection of criminals. Fellas who and women who, of course, have nothing. They are hustlers, and therefore, in order to get into government, because that is all, would give them, of course, access to fame, fortune, and of course, the treasury, and of course, the eating of it to a frazzle. The UNC will not engage in activities that will, of course, malign people or in any way for no reason at all, call them thief, etc. And that is one of the issues that I have debated with many. Because some people want them to do like what the PNM does do, and just manufacture a lie, like the emails. And like, of course, what they say, they eat out, of course, the NGC. Seen in them, that which is PNM, seen in others, that which is in them, and the people wanted the UNC, of course, to treat with that eye for eye and manufacture and malign people just so the UNC is not on that. It is clear the UNC is not on that. But Rowley and they will manufacture, and with a straight face. We saw it, of course, with Vincent Nelson. We saw it, of course, when they withdraw the matter that the UNC put in court as far as Malcolm Jones is concerned. We saw where Rowley is protecting these vipers, and of course protecting the amount of people that recruited themselves on the basis of potential and real conflict of interest. The UNC will not do that. The UNC in office, I was made a director of at least 2 institutions, but it came not simultaneously or concurrently. No. When my stint was completed, they appointed me in another one. Rowley have one man in 3 and 4 state enterprises. No wonder why the level of incompetence and impotence. But apart from that, reducing the stockpile of individuals from within the party, as if the party is devoid of course, talent and people with capacity. So one man had to go through and serve on 3 and 4 boards. And he believes that when, of course, he appoints Imbert alone, when he's out of the country, as to act for him, that somehow that is stability. The man is mad. Nobody else could serve because both of them are the head honchos in terms of the crime and criminality that they are perpetuating in public office. We see them, of course, benefiting right now from the so-called family apartment buildings that they are or have constructed. Whether Imbert in Port of Spain or Rowley in Tobago, and they are to benefit from 25 years of no taxes for that. Whites, of course, persons who would have had similar facility, but because it was constructed or they were constructed before the implementation of that measure to benefit them, you could only have a new building. You can't have an old building and benefit from the 25 years moratorium on no taxes. Understand what is happening here. a bunch of miscreants and criminals and abusers who must find themselves the last days in jail, because these are criminal matters that must be investigated. But the point I am making, I'm saying all that to say, the UNC will not engage in falsifying and false witness and false maligning of people to get into office. Some people say they should be doing that too, but I commend them for that. I commend them. That is why a fellow like me, for example, PNM can't tell me nothing, because the argument was, and I told them, I said, if I was an Indian, boy, the PNM make mincemeat about everybody. If I was Indian talking about them, talking about the PNM as I'm talking here, let's face it, it's only an African fella could do that, or a woman, and they will have nothing to say because they are conscious. They are conscious that the African fella will be more vicious than them and consistent. It's New Year's night and Christmas night. I right here to get rid of them and to inculcate and to spread the gospel that the UNC cannot be seen as the enemy. It is the PNM who has created the enemy against the people, and they have weaponized government against the people, and they have done untold and unpardonable sins against the people, and therefore their iniquities must be recompensed with, of course, with what? Yes, with criminal charges. They must be compensated with criminal charges for the evil that they would have done to the people. So I am telling my mind, the UNC will not engage in that. The UNC, all the years that they are around, you never heard that they would set up a member of the PNM and say that they get kickbacks and get a fellow like Vincent Nelson to come forward and say yes and pay them $10 million. Nobody in the UNC will take that $10 million to do that. The PNM demonstrate at the highest level. Rowley concocted, makeup, fabricated emails, pieces of paper, and go to the parliament, you know. It's criminals we're dealing with, understand that? And you, along the East-West corridor, we're going to talk about it tomorrow night. We're going to finish off that. I thought it was important, of course, in the background to complete Basdeo Panday. Tomorrow night, I may well just get Camilla's, his daughter's eulogy, and we will end that series about Panday because he was a good one. He deserves much better. He deserves the respect as a man that I honor. And of course, tomorrow night when we are playing Makela Panday's eulogy about her father, we just play that alone tomorrow. To conclude this series, I will tell you a little more about my own experiences. I told you about Julia Davy, a total and absolute dishonest person, disingenuous, and has no loyalty to even herself. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, when we had hoped and thought that she would have led the team in the 2007 elections, and we were at Emerald Plaza in Tonapuna, and we went into the bar area, and when we, of course, put up our hands and say we support Kamla Prasad Bisesa, she and I, and Kamla came by the bar and told her that she really appreciated it and she will not regret it. She told Juliet that. I was there. Juliet telling me today when I questioned her, I reminded her that she forget. She can't remember that. The wicked, but it must be told. Must be told. Just as how she no PNM, just as Rowley no PNM. No PNM. They vacillate. But they're not PNM. They committed to nothing. So I thought it was important. And I only mentioned her because of the statement that people make about telling people to climb over people's fence and deal with them. And they say that she influenced. No, that would have been a natural, let's say, percussion, a natural consequence of the crime and criminality gravitating in different areas. Because we saw that back in 2009 when I was asked by Martin Joseph to, of course, address the National Security Council, and I told them about home invasion inside of Never Dirty. It started there. So that's nothing new. So people, we have had a wonderful night tonight. I want to tell you, of course, and we look forward, of course, tomorrow morning, Dr. Khalid and myself from 8 to 10 o'clock. Yes, Dr. Khalid and myself from 8 to 10. These and other issues, of course, I'll be a little more sedated then. But tomorrow night, I will, of course, resume this discussion and, of course, look at the situation on the East-West corridor in a little more details. That being as it may, thank you, of course, for your attention and your contributions. I want to say you have been wonderful. But of course, just as all bad things like Rowley and them, good things too come to an end. In the case of good things, the end is temporary. But in the case of bad things, when we decide that those evil must be ejected or must be jettisoned, there must be an exorcism. It must be expelled and dispelled. But it will be permanent. The likes of Rowley must never see government in this country again. The like of Rowley and his minions and opportunistic political parasites. So have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And of course, don't forget, we all are patriots. And like, of course, as we started, we must, of course, inspire ourselves to do the right thing at the right time. Yes, indeed.
Trinidad is my land, and of it I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people just talk it bad. But I know all of them we running them out. Don't know where they're talking about. They would paint your black every day, and the right things they would never say. Like our sportsmen being rated among the best. Our scholars have sit and passed every test and put us right alongside the rest. But then our pitch lake is the greatest one of its kind. Our sugar and oil is really refined. So you see, friends, this is a real thing, so no man's mind. They just talk some nonsense. Me ain't know where they're doing it for. About so much violence, man, you would swear that we fighting war. Of course, we have we delinquents to face, but just like any other place, look, things that I say about here is really too much for me to bear, because my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness, and in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body, no bickering between you and me. For our policy stands for racial equality. Now when a stranger spending a little time in this lovely isle, every day you see him, he always have a hearty smile. When his time is up to depart, he would say with pride in heart, I'll be back, you could bet your life. And if I can't come, I go send my wife. And then he'll tell you he really wants her to come to drink some rum and have plenty fun in this great island in the sun. For Trinidadian, as foreigners do we call, it doesn't matter whether big or small, or if you're rich or poor, friends, we cater for one and all. So all of them we're talking, they either drunk or they're staring mad, or maybe they forgetting Mr. Universe belongs to Trinidad. And yet we have men of talent and skill, with high hopes of improving still. And if you think all this is a lie, the mighty sniper won't tell you why. Now our steel band is the best talent in this world. By calypsos our stories are told, with this rhythm to touch your soul. So Trinidad, this lovely land of mine.